everyone, so today I'm getting ready, just letting my hair dry a little bit. I'm going to be going out with my friend who is taking me out to celebrate my birthday, and next weekend's when I'm going out with my friends and doing the whole thing that I've told you about in the previous video. But I thought I would do a little get ready with me because I'm going to actually put eyeshadow on, but also it's February. Everyone's thinking about, like, you know, Valentine's, love, relationships, and the person who's taking me out today is my, like, long-term guy friend, and I would say, like, slash romantic friend, and so I thought it'd be fun to talk about all that stuff, especially because I always thought that I would be someone who would be in, like, a traditional relationship and be married by the time I'm 25, and here I am at 31 in a few days, and that's just not my reality. So I thought, like, let's talk about it. That could be an interesting thing to talk about, especially because everyone's always fascinated with what it's like to be plus size and dating and all that stuff. By the way, this t-shirt is from Wild Fable. It was the only Wild Fable item in my local Target. I don't know, cute, comfy. Guess what? It's a crop top, so it's definitely a house shirt, and I might regret wearing it while putting on makeup, but oh well. So as we get into this, some things to just know. One is that I asked my guy friend if he was okay with me sharing about our relationship, and I talked a little bit about what kinds of thoughts I was going to share, and he, you know, gave me his support in sharing, so I don't feel like I'm sharing anything that I can't be. Also, I'm only going to share things about, like, actual relationship aspect of it, getting close to somebody, vulnerability, those kinds of things, because I do have a job where I can't talk about some things on the internet, you know, and so I'm not talking about that stuff. Sorry, you'll have to find it somewhere else. But yeah, so far all I've done is put moisturizer on my face. I ran out of my aloe moisturizer that I love, and so I put on this Tarte. I got this a while ago. Tarte by the Sea. It's the first time I actually opened it, though. Drink of H2O Hydrating Boost. I will say, it felt burny a little bit when I first put it on. Now it looks fine. I don't notice too much. But yeah, it felt a little burny at first. Let's see. Let me get my hair out of the way. So I am not used to. I don't know anything about makeup. But I'm going to try to do some stuff. Everything I've learned is off YouTube, so if it's horrible, I learned it, you know, off YouTube and then practiced on my own. I am wearing this dress back here, so I know it's a little dark back there, but it's kind of like, it's a purpley pink color, and there's a plane going by. And so I want to do kind of, you know, like probably some golds and stuff. And then I'm going to use like golds and pinks. I'm going to use this Tarte palette that I got in BoxyCharm, Rainforest of the Sea. I want to say, yeah, this is volume 3, and it has like this kind of like pearly pink color, but they're all shimmers. So I'm going to probably use something else to like build that up. And by the way, I didn't think about what I was going to say, and I kind of regret that. I mean, I thought about what I wanted to say in some ways, but didn't like make myself a list. So if this is all over the place, I'm sorry. Okay, so I think I'm gonna put on my foundation and then go and do my eye makeup. I'm gonna use the Phoera, which I previewed in my last Get Ready With Me, or reviewed in my last Get Ready With Me. Still liking it. I will say it works best with that aloe moisturizer that I have. When I switch to other stuff, it doesn't seem to stay on as long throughout the day as it had been with the aloe. Okay, so I think, you know, this is, as someone who also watches a ton of YouTube videos, a lot of the people that I see on YouTube that are plus size have partners, have long-term partners. They've either been in love multiple times, they've been married, they've had long-term partners that show up on their channel. When I think about like some popular influencers on Instagram, they're also in relationships and can feature their partner, you know, when whatever they're doing. And so sometimes when those people get asked things about their relationships, and I feel like their answers act like it's easy. And maybe it was really easy for them. But I think for many people it's not easy. And it's kind of like knowing what other people go through is helpful. Because I certainly don't have, do I have a single friend? I don't think I have a single friend that's in my same situation, which is that I've never had a boyfriend. I've never had a committed partner. And there's lots of things that go into that. I very rarely connect with someone beyond, I've the only person I've ever met that I've connected with to the point where I wanted to really see that relationship went and was so excited to see them often was my guy friend, who I still date. And so you might wonder, well, why haven't you become a boyfriend and girlfriend situation with that? I met, I don't know if I'm allowed to use his name or not. Let's call him, Rob, just for fun. Okay, I met Rob 3 years ago, 2015, no, but yeah, three and a half years ago, 2015. And we met on a dating website that was specifically like plus size oriented. And that was my first time being on that kind of website. I will say that, you know, like any dating website, you get some weird people who, just don't jive with you. And you also get people who are like only into sexual things. I have experienced that on every single dating website I've ever been on. But one thing that I noticed by going on that website is that I didn't question as much if a guy was into plus size women. Whereas on a straight size, like just open dating site, I'm a little bit more like, does he really know what he's getting into? Has he dated plus size women before, etc.? He is younger than me. He's 3 years younger than me. So I met him when I was 27. He was 24. At that time, that felt like a really big gap. Because at that point, I already had my own apartment. I was in my career path, etc. And he wasn't. And so it did feel a little bit weird. And there's still sometimes, like, it's not even that big of an age gap, but there's still some things that feel like an age gap between me and him. And all I can think is that we just do different things, like we live a little bit differently. When we first started dating, we had our first date. It was one of those situations where I could immediately tell he liked me, which I don't know if you've ever gone on a date with someone that like you meet and they look at each other and you're like, oh, that person's disappointed or that person's not into it or whatever. It was really nice to go on a date where that person, immediately seemed to be into it and liked you. I could tell he was nervous. That made me feel more relaxed. And we had a really good date, and it was one of those dates you didn't want to end, which I can't tell you how many dates I usually want them to end. By the way, I'm using like this set I just bought this morning from Walgreens. It's her eye makeup brush set because I kept only having like the fluffy brush and nothing else. So the time that I had met Rob, I had been going on dates, but only like first dates. Hadn't kissed anyone in a long time. I was scared of dating. I didn't think it was gonna happen for me. I didn't know if I would be someone that would be able to connect with somebody. And so whenever I met him and we had such a strong connection right away, and we both wanted to see each other so much, so quickly and be together again, it was really exciting. All right, going to go in this Crown Pro palette. I got this in a BoxyCharm a long time ago. Lots of like peaches and browns and some shimmers. I'm gonna use this color, which is just like a brown matte color. I'm gonna put that in the crease. And just a reminder, I have no idea what I'm doing. Originally we had gone out on the weekend and had made plans to do something the next weekend, and it just felt too far away, and we met up, and we could just talk and talk and talk and talk. And that's one of the things I have not really had with men before, is the ability to hold conversations, because either they'd never asked a follow-up detail, they never seemed curious. And that's the thing that really put me off of dating for like a really long time, is that the guys I met did not at all seem curious about me. And I still sometimes experience that now, and I just like, I don't have time for that. Like, if you don't want to get to know me, if you don't know how to get to know me, I can only ask you so many questions before you gotta ask one back. Anyways, we had really good banter. We had all kinds of stuff, but we were different in certain ways. Like, we just we experience life different ways. I don't know how to say that without getting too specific, but I can be a little bit of a goody good girl and do everything by the book and really value work and school and all those things, and that really wasn't his bag. Like, he liked other kinds of things, and not that like his things were bad, it's just they were different than what I was used to. And yeah, so like I think he would probably be a little bit more into like a little bit more of an alternative girl, and I'm not that girl. But anyways, we were dating and we were working towards potentially being in a relationship, and he worked very different hours than I did, blah de blah de blah. Long story short, after about 6 months, there were multiple times throughout that time where he would be ready to take that next step and ask me to be a girlfriend, and I wasn't ready for it, and then times where I was ready for it and he was starting to doubt it. So that kept happening over and over again. Alright, I'm gonna go in that Tarte palette. All I did was put stuff. It's like browner than I realized it was going to be. So I think I'll use this shade, which has a slight shimmer to it, but not much, just to kind of tone down the brownness of it. And then I'm gonna go in with this dark brown color, it's like chocolatey color out here, and then I'm gonna put the pink more towards the center. So where was I? I'm realizing this is much harder to do than I thought. Like, much harder to tell a cohesive story when you're just like rambling on. Hopefully you're keeping up. Anyways, at one point in that time period, I got really sick. I had menorrhagia or something, I forget. Basically a very, very, very long and heavy period, like 3 months long. I was anemic, I was sick, all kinds of stuff. It was preventing me from being able to hang out with him, preventing time together, all kinds of stuff. And I think at that point, I could tell he was starting to pull apart, and not because of that, just around the same time. And then, yeah, just at some point I could tell he was pulling back. And he finally sat down with me one time and basically was like, you know, I just don't think this is right. Basically he wanted to end it. At that point, I could already tell. Like, I had already cried to him on the phone a couple times being like, this isn't working out, is it? So I wasn't as tearful because, like, I had already made peace. I could tell that thing was ending, you know? And it is so funny to think back on it because I still continue to see him over the past few years, and we're very different people now. So it's interesting to, like, look back at how we handled that situation. Let me go turn on my light in my bedroom because the sun's gone down, so it's getting dark. Okay, so I'm back. I'm not sure how this video is going. I feel like I'm all over the place. Anyways, still going into that darker color. So something I realized whenever this situation happened, as soon as I could tell that he was pulling apart or pulling away, I can mourn it. I can mourn that it's happening, but I cut that crap off in terms of my heart. I can disconnect so quickly. If I feel like someone is not into me, I just completely shut it down. So, you know, here he is coming to my apartment and crying about the fact that it's ending, and I'm already done. Like, I'm already processed. I have no feelings left about it. And one thing that I think is often portrayed is that women are like the really emotional ones, or the ones that, I'm going with the lighter pink now, are more sentimental. Not me. Actually, I think that's one of the things that is hard for him whenever he was dating me, is that I'm not very loving and warm in the way that he expects it to get it. I'm not gonna say I'm not loving and warm, because I am loving and warm, but I'm not the kind to, like, I don't know how to explain it. I like my independence. I like my away time. I like not being told what to do at all. I mean, not that he did, but like, ask my dad, give me a friendly suggestion, I'll do the opposite just to show you I can. And it was hard for me to be vulnerable, very hard for me to be vulnerable at all with him. And I think, you know, I was as vulnerable as I could be at that point in time. But that's my struggle, is letting people in beyond a certain point. And I have to feel like they deserve it. So it's not even like a case of let me show you all myself so I can get to know you. No, it's let me get to know you and put up 80,000 obstacles for you to get to know me, to make you prove to me that you really deserve to know me, which is not the healthiest thing in the world to do. So I know some people like don't believe in things with like your like astrology kind of stuff. But when you read the description for an Aquarius in a romantic relationship, it's me. It is me to a T. I am very independent. If I feel like my independence is pushed at in any kind of way, I guard it a lot. I have trouble with letting people in. I have trouble finding many people I feel like are worth letting in. That's kind of feels really rude to say, but is just the case. Like, a lot of people I meet, I just feel like aren't great people, and I won't let them in. And yeah, I think my relationship style is just very different than what his was. So after we decided to split, I didn't see him for a while. I needed time away. I really thought he was going to be my boyfriend. You know, like I really thought I had finally met somebody, thought I had waited all that time to get to him, and then it didn't work out. And I understood why it didn't work out, but it still didn't work out, and that was hard for me to take. And so I'm going with the even lighter one here. I will say these are okay, but like basically when you get up close, it just looks like I have a shimmery lid. You can't really tell anything about it. Again, I suck at makeup. So anyways, I stopped hanging out with him, stopped talking to him, all that stuff. I actually don't remember when I started talking to him again. I don't remember who initiated it, any of that stuff. But I did miss him as a friend because there were things I could talk about with him that I didn't talk about with other people. I missed that ability. Whoa, what happened here? I missed having someone to talk to about those kinds of things. And I missed hanging out with him. Like, again, if you're someone like me who doesn't connect with very many men, to then find someone you can connect to is kind of hard to like lose that connection. So we started hanging out again, and it quickly became kind of like friends with additions to it. I mean, we were friends, but when we hung out, it felt like dates. And so at this point, the way I make sense of it is we date. We date without a relationship as the end goal. We date knowing that we don't work together in a longer term kind of way. And some of those things that like don't work out for us is that we're not integrated into each other's lives outside of our time together. I have hung out with his friends a couple of times. It's hard for me. I don't really I don't like the same things his friends like. I feel very much like as an outsider, just the things they do and talk about, and it's like I don't know, boys club in a way that's like not the boys club I want to attend. And it hurts him for me to say that, but it is absolutely the truth. Like, I don't want to hang out with his friends. I'm sorry, Rob. I know that probably like hurts to hear it, but it's the truth of the matter. Like, I can't lie about it. I feel very outside of that situation. And he's never met my family. There's been times where I've invited him to. He's very nervous about it. And I can't see a future with someone who doesn't know my family, who's not integrated in that kind of way. And I think at this point, when we know we're not going to move towards anything more serious, it feels kind of like silly to do it. But you know, I don't know, there's this person that's been in my life for 3 years that my family hasn't met, and that's weird, and that's hard for me, especially if you've ever been like a girl that's grown up with like people not knowing the guy you're talking to, or the guy you're talking to hiding from people, and that is not him. He is not hiding me from people. He's not ashamed to go out with me or anything like that. He actually has his own things about why he's like scared to meet people himself, and there's limitations. There's what I consider is like we can get close up to a point, we can't get past that point, and we can't get that past that point, we can't think of anything in terms of a serious relationship. So let's just call a spade a spade. We are friends who enjoy each other, who date, but we're not going to get ever to that point. So at this point, you might be wondering, well, if that's not going to happen with that guy, why aren't you dating other guys? And I have dated other guys. So not this past fall, but the one before, I was talking to a guy that I thought could potentially turn into something. We will call him, I didn't like him, so I want to kind of give him a bad name. I'm just kidding, there's no bad names. There's bad names. Okay, we'll call him, oh my gosh, okay, we won't call him that. We'll call him Daryl. Sorry, Daryls of the world, I'm sure you're great. This Daryl was not great. I met him on a website called Woo Plus, which is another dating site, again, focused on plus sizes. And my eyes look prettier in person, guys. You can't really see the details. Should I add anything else? I have this palette. It has some pretty pinks and stuff, but they're like much more colorful. Like, am I ready to do that? Zoya is pretty, that's this one, but it's kind of like peachier toned, whereas this one is more like pink, but I'm wearing like purpley. Someone teach me makeup. I could also go back to this one, the crown thing. But I've already kind of put those colors on, they just don't look as, maybe I'll put a tiny bit of this and see what happens. Anyways, all right, so I met Daryl. At this point, I was hanging out with Rob some, like we were seeing each other. We talk about dating, we talk about the struggles of dating, because it's not easy for either of us to meet people. And, you know, just open communication about that kind of stuff. I met Daryl. He knew about Rob, because, you know, I told him that I was still in contact with my, see, like, Rob feels like an ex to me, although we're not exes. I don't know that he would consider me his ex. Anyways, he knew I was in touch with Rob. And Daryl is someone that I consider looks great on paper. We were in similar career fields, so I felt like I could really connect with him. He had similar political beliefs to me. He was very well spoken, very curious, but he was someone that was like hot and heavy really quickly, more so on his end than my end. So he like immediately was like, basically my looks were the perfect looks that he was into. He acted like he was just like totally into me, wanted to draw stuff for me. And it was a little bit, it was a lot for someone like me who's like, sorry, haven't given you test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yet. Can't come in the door. And it's worried me how much he was like trying to make plans for months and months and later, which is probably like some girl's dream, but freaked me out. Because I just felt like he was acting beyond where we were. You know, like we hadn't gotten there in our conversations. He lived farther away, so we hadn't like been able to spend time together in person. So I'm like, what's going on here? Like, we're not at this place yet. We did meet up and go to like a day date. And that date was good. I enjoyed hanging out with him. I feel like whenever I met him in person, I was not as attracted to him as I thought I would be. But I felt like our conversations were good, and that I probably just needed to give it more time because, again, I'm someone who like doesn't let people in very quickly. And you know, he did this like cute romantic stuff that I've never had a guy do before. So for example, when we went on our date, At the end of the date, he had like a card and a drawing he had made me, and in the card it was like, I really enjoyed spending this day with you. Our first kiss was the best, and then he like turned around and gave me our first kiss. All right, this is stuff that like makes some girls swoon. It made me suspicious. Why am I like this? I'm like, every guy is wrong and every guy is bad. I realize I have some issues, okay? But anyways, I recognized it for what it was. He was being sweet and romantic and making the day special for me, and I appreciated that. And we had a good time, and at the end of the day, like when we were kissing and stuff, I was into it, and I was excited that I felt so into it. And all of that. So we parted ways, and we started making plans for when we're going to see each other next. And again, we live far away. So one of the things that he had talked to me a lot about was this like place that he goes and spends time at. Yeah, this foundation with this moisturizer I have is not the greatest. And he wanted me to basically come visit him. I told him how nervous I was to do that because it would have been like an overnight visit whenever I'd only met him once, even if we had already talked on the phone multiple times. And this is where like dating in your late 20s, 30s is a bit different, because I feel like if you try to say like, oh, that's moving too fast, they're like, but you're 30. Like, why is a sleepover weird for you, you know? And again, if you're someone that struggles with feeling comfortable around people, then yeah, if you've only met them once in person, that might feel too intimate for you. So I decided that I was probably just putting up too many barriers to just go. I had talked to him a lot about like my concerns, and I had told him like, I want to be able to sleep in a separate room. So basically I felt like I had put all these like stopping blocks in place, and he had agreed and said it was fine and all that stuff, that I felt like, it wasn't going to get into a weird space too fast. But I just got a text message. Let me come back in just a second. Okay. So when I had worked that day, so I didn't get up into this place until later into the evening. It was already dark out by the time I got there, and I was nervous. He knew that I was nervous, all that stuff. Immediately upon sitting down on the couch, he had all of his hands all over me, under my shirt, and he was poking and grabbing me in ways that did not feel loving or anything. Basically, I kind of felt like a fat girl blow-up doll that he was finally getting his hands on. Did not like it. Did not like it at all. And in fact, that's probably the only time I've ever remembered my life being like, hold up, sir. I need you to stop touching me. I asked him to stop touching me. I sat separate from him. I was like, that was a little too much, too fast. I warned you. Give me some time. I just got here. Like, can we talk? Can you just like hold me in your arms for a bit before we get going? Like, this was just too much. And for the rest of the night, he just kept doing actions that showed me that he was trying to sleep with me over and over and over again. I told him I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to like get to know him some more. But then he would like, oh gosh, I can't even tell you. I can't even say because I don't feel like it's appropriate, but he would do stuff over and over again to show that he was sexually excited, wanted to do things, kept touching me in ways I didn't like him to touch me. I kept having to say no over and over and over again. And there's nothing that's like a bigger turnoff than having someone say, oh, I'm listening to you. I understand. I hear you. And then continuously having to assert a boundary because they're not listening to you. And that's actually been a very big pattern in my dating story, is men who say, oh, I would never pressure you, but over and over and over again ask and ask and ask that you have to deny over and over and over again, which makes a situation very uncomfortable. I'm trying to decide if I want to put eyeliner on. Like, eyeliner can make my eyes like really tiny. I could try to do a really thin line, but I'm scared. Maybe I'll just go heavy on mascara. I'm just gonna go heavy on mascara. Anyways, the next day, we had plans to go out and about, and we did those things, and around midday we went out to the like little town, and he wanted to show me some places, and I had also asked to go some places, and it just seemed like he was annoyed that I wanted to do anything outside of what he wanted to show me. And in hindsight, maybe I was reading the cues wrong in terms of thinking that we were both there just having a good time exploring. I think in his mind, he wanted to show me things that were special to him, and I was like asserting additional stuff on top of it. But he didn't seem to like that. And when we went out to the store and he wanted to like show me this like snack that he loves as a kid, I wanted to get a different soda than he did. And that sounds so stupid, but I really feel like he was like not into it. Like at that point, he was just like, this girl doesn't care about things that are important to me. Again, like, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I don't know, but his attitude towards me completely changed. I think at that point, he was just like, she's not going to be compliant in any kind of way. She's not going to do the things I want to do. She's not going to want the same things. And I can understand in some ways how the weekend was disappointing to him. But in my mind, he was not allowing me to exist outside of his imagination of what I would be doing, how I would react to him, how I would look, how I would let him touch me, how I would eat food, how I would do anything. And actually, like, he really gave me the heebie-jeebies for a very long time about men. And so by the evening, we went out to eat, and he barely made eye contact with me at the restaurant. And it was so obvious that we were having a tension-filled evening that when we got back, he played a game on his phone the entire night, and I knitted, and I got sick of my stomach like 80,000 times because I had the nervous stomach at that point, and I was just like, I gotta get through this. I gotta spend the night and get home. My car was not parked. My car was parked in front of his. I couldn't get out on my own. I didn't want to cause a scene. These are things that, like, I don't know, you go into, like, what's the best way to handle this? My best way to handle this was to be as nice as frickin' possible, and the next morning get out as fast as I could. And that's what I did. And then, you know, like, I had left something, I accidentally had to go back and get something. He didn't come out to give it to me. He didn't come out to say hey or anything. Like, at that point, it was like, bye, biatch. And, I mean, it's just so much not how I was used to being treated based on Rob. Rob treats me like a gentleman. He is a gentleman in every kind of way. He's going to help me with anything I need help with, etc. Even if he's not going to get what he wants out of the day, even if I'm not going to be in a relationship with him, even if anything else, you know? So, yeah, that was my dating trip from hell, and I can't even tell you all the full details. If we ever meet in person, I will share away, but I'm not going to put it out here on the internet. And it just showed me that someone can be smart, intelligent, put together. You think, oh, this person has a career pathway, they have success in their life, they have family values, they have all these things, but they don't know how to treat people like people, or they just want something out of you regardless of how you feel about it. And yeah, so like those kind of experiences really scare me from dating. Again, someone can act one way on the phone, I understand, and then in person just push. I hate it. Anyways, this past year I have been dating pretty regularly. We see each other basically once a week. We've talked about the fact that at some point, like, we'll date other people. Neither him or I at the moment are interested in dating. I'm not that interested. I've gone online dating. I've dated in the past couple months, and just it hasn't been fun or awesome. And I'm starting to come to terms like with maybe I'm not the type to ever get into a serious relationship, because I don't know, it'd have to take a really special person. So if I take away that end goal of like, I must keep dating because I must find that person, then what if I just want to spend my time how I want to spend my time? Then I can just date however I want. And right now that's Rob. So yeah. The last date I went on besides Rob was in the fall. I had gone out of town to go to a book club or a book thing with Marilyn Vaughn. And a guy that I had been talking to online for years, just off and on, he lived out in the area, so we decided to meet. And we had an okay chat, but I could tell that, like, I mean, I guess when you talk to someone on and off so long or online, you kind of already know, like, it's not going to go too many places. But it was one of those things where, again, like, he talks and talks and talks, but doesn't ask much in return. He was very sexually forward. I was okay with some of it, but not all of it. And I just felt like he only wanted sexual stuff. And whenever I talked to him about it later, he got mad, but I'm like, you kept asking for sexual stuff. So, like, you know, make your actions fit what you say. Anyways, whenever I left that, I could tell I didn't feel anything towards this person. I didn't even feel like, wow, we could be great friends. I didn't feel anything at all. And so, I had talked to him about the fact that, like, our friendship was different because we'd only talked on the internet. We talked about very surface level things. Like, I called him an internet friend. He did not like that, apparently. He kind of used it as, like, you're a horrible person for calling me an internet friend. And I'm like, but you have to understand, like, you don't know 80,000 things about my life. Like, there's a difference between you and someone else. And he was very, like, he knew about Rob as well. He was very, like, he wanted to compare everything about himself with Rob. And I don't understand that, besides, like, I want to be more to you than him. And also, because he knew that me and Rob were friends, but not in a relationship, but dating and stuff, he's like, well, why can't we have that relationship too? You know, why does it have to be, like, either we get into a relationship or nothing? And I'm like, well, me and Rob, I don't want a bunch of casual relationships. That's not something I'm really looking for. I don't want, 80 men that I'm casually dating, or anything like that. The reason it works for me and Rob is because we're actually friends. We actually have that history and knowledge of one another. We support one another. We talk about all kinds of things. Besides the fact that we're not fully integrated into each other's other aspects of life, we have a very full relationship. Like, it's not something it's not the same as some guy I barely know who only talks to me surface level things wanting to be physical. So yeah, this feels very personal. I don't know if I'll ever post this. So yeah, I pissed him off when I called him an internet friend. I decided probably better just leave this here, and unfollowed him on social media, and I felt better about that. But this is another guy who, like, okay, you tell me this. I'm 30 years old. 90% of the guys that I meet, 99% of the guys I meet, at my age level, have not had a full-time job, do not live on their own, seemingly lack any kind of ambition towards a career. As someone that's very career motivated myself, that freaks me out. It freaks me out when someone hasn't experienced that level of responsibility yet. I can understand if career is not, like, your ultimate thing in life. If that's not your main drive. I understand even if there's reasons why you've never moved out, and I've made room for people that have that situation in my life. But why is every single guy that I talk to in that situation? That's odd to me. That's odd. Over the summer, I did do some online dating. I used Tinder. I used OkCupid. I've used Woo Plus. On all of those sites, I've been able to meet people who are interested in me. The problem is, again, that a lot of them are interested in very physical things. So it's not what I'm looking for. I'm hoping eventually to meet a connection, I went out with a guy who was kind of, like, very into fitness over the summer. And we, like, Snapchatted all the time and talked a lot. And he would share, like, some personal stuff, but it only lasted about a month, so it wasn't, like, a lot. We went out on a date, and I think for him, I was probably the first plus-size girl he's ever been out with. at least plus size on my end of the spectrum. You know, I'm not a 14, 16, I'm a 24, 26, 28. So, I think he was attracted because he kept talking to me, but I don't think he had fully come to terms with his attraction, and he had asked to meet again, and then the very next day, like he had asked, you know, do you want to go get ice cream? I was like, sure, you know, let's do it around this time. The next day I went to go message him to find out when he wanted to meet, and he had blocked me on Snapchat and all this stuff, and I was just like, is this a mistake? What's happening? Went on the dating site we had met on and sent a message, be like, I tried to message you on Snapchat and you weren't a friend anymore on there. You know, is everything okay? Are we still meeting today? And at first he was like, oh, I didn't mean to do it. And then he's like, actually, I just think we shouldn't. I can do better. And I was like, you can do better what? What do you mean you can do better? And he was like, oh, no, nothing about you. I just feel like I just need to, you know, talk to someone that's more going to go into a more meaningful relationship or something like that. And I was just like, this son of a gun. Why did you ask me on a date? Why waste my time? Don't waste my time. And then I just feel like he got uncomfortable with being someone my size, and I'm not one that likes to say, like, oh, everything's about my size, but I really feel like it was about my size, and that's his problem, not my problem, you know? He's the one that asked me on dates, he's the one that continued to talk to me after meeting me in person and fully knowing my size, and he's the one that apparently got nervous about it or whatever is the case, and he's the one that was a dick and said I could do better. And so again, he said that, and I was like, okay, good luck. Bye. Disconnect. I was pissed off about it for like 2 days, but goodbye. I'm not someone that like wants to go rehash with someone that treats me wrong. Goodbye. Do not need to talk to you ever again. I'm gonna use this e.l.f. This one's in tea rose. It's much more pink than the other one that I use. So I would say in the past couple months, I have not been in the mood to date anyone new. I'll go on a dating website and like, I can only handle it for like a week, and I want to get the heck off of there. I do tend to find that I am someone that is more into dating over the spring and summer. I'm not sure why, but I'm not always in the mood for it. Oh, dang it, I did mess this up. I'm not always in the mood for it. I have friends who will date until they find somebody. I have friends I know people that have been married multiple times by my age. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for me to find someone I want to date. When I find someone I can have conversations with, I don't always think they're good people. And so, I don't know, like I'm not finding people I connect with that I have the same value system with. I found that in Rob, but we don't love each other in the kind of way needed to be that kind of relationship, and so it's always going to be limited. I feel like there's more levels to this in person, but you can't see it. I'm very sparklies. I had asked on Instagram if anyone had questions, and some people were wondering about the guy friend thing. I don't really know how to explain it besides we ultimately know that we're not the right people for each other. We talk on the phone almost every single day. We see each other once a week. We exchange gifts. We take each other out for our birthdays. We do all kinds of things that are like dating, but I think we ultimately know we're not the right match for each other. And so yeah, we're kind of like navigating what that looks like and what that means. And for me, maybe it's okay. Like maybe it's okay that that's not the case. The only time I ever get sad about it, and not about him, but about the fact that like I haven't found a person, is when I'm around my siblings. So I have 3 siblings, all of whom are married. And 2 of my siblings have recently started their families with kids. And sometimes I get sad that I'm not there, that I don't have my partner. Whenever you're like, it's New Year's Eve, whenever it's a family event, whenever you see your sibling being supported through a situation, I don't have that support. Whenever I have stuff going on at work that I'm concerned about, whenever I have big decisions to make, I go to my mom still. Mom, help. I don't have that partner to help me make decisions. Sometimes whenever like all the bills are due, this is mine. This is my responsibility. I don't have someone who's in it with me, and that's whenever I find it sad. Okay, so I just went and dried my hair, and I went and looked at Instagram to see what questions people had about things. So one is that people want to know about my guy friend. I don't feel like I represented him very well, to be quite honest. He's someone I value quite a lot in my life. He is someone who whoopsies. He's someone that I turn to. I tell about all my life stuff, He's my friend, and we know each other in a different way because of the fact that we've had, 3-ish years of dating. But it's just also someone that every time we get close to like wanting to go into relationship mode, we decide it's not right. And so having to honor that and figure out how to still be good people to each other, knowing that we're not ultimately right for each other. But he treats me really well, and he's my friend first, and believe me, you know how I can, like I said, if I feel like someone is not treating me right, bye, and that's not him. Some people ask, do you find that you get a lot of fat fetishists and that like you? And the answer is yes. Especially being up on Instagram, I can't even tell you how many messages a day I get from random people. It is very easy for me to figure out who's kind of like a normal person who happens to be attracted to fat people versus someone who is purely looking for physical gratification from fat people. And so yeah, there's that. It is taxing on my time to deal with them, but I mean, a lot of it is like the art of the conversation, right? If they say things in the conversation that make me think that they're only into physical things and or have, things that they're really into that are things I'm not into, then I can pretty much be like, oh, sounds like you're into this. I'm not, sorry, good luck finding someone, and that's it. I cut off the conversation. Done. I will say that as I've gotten older, it's been easier to find people who are attracted to me. I don't really have problems with that anymore. Now, like that one guy, I have problems with people who are attracted to me but don't know how to, like, own it. And that's annoying. I'm like, oh, gosh, can't we be over that already? Either date big women and date them like you're going to date them, or don't date big women if you're not ready to do it. But yeah, another person asked where do I meet guys. I meet guys on online dating. I've been in this past year approached in person maybe 2 times by people who were attracted to me and like wanted my number and stuff. That happens very rarely, and it always catches me off guard. One time it happened at Old Navy that really caught me off guard. But I tend to, like, if I go out to anything like with my friends, I never meet anyone that way. So, and I don't meet people through other people. I've never met someone that way either. So online dating is where I've met people. Another person asked if anything in my like classes have shown me anything about dating, and no. I do sometimes use the Pew Research as like a way of showing people what data looks like, and they have this interesting thing about teens and dating and what teens see as flirting, and it can even be, how many Y's are on okay, or how much someone looks at your Snapchat. And I do think those like soft rules do apply and do matter, but they're tricky and annoying and all that stuff. What was another question? How do you navigate online dating? So this is probably why I'm not successful at it, because I do think to a certain extent it's a quantity game, like going on a date with multiple people to find someone that's worth dating long term. And I get absolutely exhausted with it. I can want to online date for a week. I can have a good conversation with someone for a day and then it fizzles. That happens so often to lots of people. My friends who aren't plus size talk about that stuff happening. It happens a lot. The people that I know that are successful with it go on a lot of dates and are very goal-oriented towards finding a significant other. And I'm just not there. I'm not that goal-oriented towards it. I don't even know if I can do it. I'm someone that likes so much of my own time, that's so used to being on my own. It would have to be a very, very special person for me to dive in like that. Yeah, so I go on online dating for a week or two. I see who's in the area. Sometimes it's the same old people that's been in the area. I strike up a conversation. If it works out well, they'll want to meet for coffee. I am a proponent of not talking longer than a week before you meet, just because things can fizzle so quickly on online dating. I like to meet for coffee for a first date, because then it feels like, if things suck, you can just get right on out of there. It doesn't take that long. And then second dates, like doing something a little bit more time intensive. That person, Daryl, our first date was like a whole day long date and it was fine. But if someone's local, and then also that's another thing, is I've figured out I can't do long distance. I can't do long distance, especially whenever it's like just getting up and going and getting to meet somebody, because I feel like whenever you do end up seeing them, it puts so much pressure on that like meeting being long and intense and going beyond what I'm comfortable with. Yeah, I don't like that. So yeah, I think it's important to hear from some people who like finding a partner is not their only end goal. I think it's important to hear like sometimes you can maybe have a meaningful relationship that's not a boyfriend. And then also like really understand the limits of that, There's again, I'm not gonna get some things out of that relationship with Rob that I would get if I had a full-on partner. I'm really curious how you guys handle things or how you guys see dating. Everything's through our own viewpoint. For me, someone who's struggled to ever have really meaningful relationships with men outside of family, the depth of my relationship with Rob is different than anything I've ever had before, but it's also something that I can be realistic with and not see it as something beyond what it actually is. And I don't know how to break that down. I don't know how to get beyond that with other men. Again, I've tried dating. I just don't find very many men I think are worth letting them get to know me. And that might be like a really weird thing. I should look even more into the Aquarius thing. I think I'm really deeply matching that description of what Aquarius is like to date. And Aquarius apparently are like really bad in relationships. I laugh at that because my dad's been married for a very long time to my mom and he's also an Aquarius. So I don't think it applies blanket statement to anyone who's an Aquarius. And then my cousin who's also an Aquarius, she's had lots of serious relationships. And I have had one that's kind of close to a serious relationship, So when I had started thinking about doing this video, I was originally going to include stuff about dating in college, and I ended up not including it, mostly because this has been rambly as hell, and I can't remember what I've talked about and what I haven't. But I will say dating in my late 20s and early 30s has been way better than dating in college. Dating back then was not great, and I have had some majorly negative experiences that made me feel completely and utterly lacking of worth towards other people. Like they just did not care about who I was as a person. I've been told that I'm too northern, that I have too big of a butt, that someone was maybe drunk enough to want to kiss me at some point. I've been told a lot of negative things that have definitely stayed with me. I remember all of them, but in no way impact the way I think men will be attracted to me now. I mean, I've had a lot of positive experiences with men being attracted to me now, but it's just finding someone that I actually want to date. That's not easy. These are still hot, so I'm gonna let those. Let me see if I can pull you in so you can see my makeup better. Let's see. I think it's possible that my eye makeup is so close to my actual skin color that you won't be able to see it well. There is pink shimmer, a little bit of brown shimmer in there. This is my lip color. It's a little pink, I might mix the rusty red color in there with it. But who knows, it'll probably look good with that. I gotta figure out what earrings I want to wear. Okay, so here is a look. Big curls. I am wearing these sparkly earrings. They have gold, metal, and matching bracelet. These are from Inspired by You. I will link them. I was sent these for an Instagram post, and it's size inclusive jewelry, so look how much space on that bracelet's left. And they're relatively affordable. I think these are like $23 or something like that. I also have my dress on, and I'm going to show you some pictures of that when I get out and about. So I will see you later. Alright guys, so I'm heading to his house, and then he's taking us off into Charlotte, because we're going to South Charlotte to do stuff tonight. But I ended up putting a nude lip color over my other one. It is this. It is NYX Butter lipstick in Snack Shack Canteen. Also, you know, as I was taking Lola to go bathroom, I had deep thoughts, as one does when they walk their dog. And I feel like I didn't explain very well my relationship with Rob. And the best thing I can say is that we are dating. We are not Netflix and chill, friends with benefits. We are dating without an end goal. We do fun things with each other. We want to share things with each other. I like to do like Renaissance festivals, those kind of things. So I take him into my world. He loves Marvel. He takes me into his world. But without the end goal of a relationship. Is that weird? You tell me. Hey guys, so I just got home. I had a really good night out. This dress is pretty, but oh my god, it's been peeling the entire time. So very sad about that. It's the first time I've worn it. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.